All right, you ready?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Let's do it. All right, everybody, welcome back to episode 3 of Hook the Line podcast. This is supposed to be our Tuesday segment, had some complications, pushed it back to Wednesday, but we're still getting it out to you. Don't worry. All you people that might have looked for us on Tuesday, we know there's thousands, hundreds of thousands, but
Millions.
okay, we're still here. We're still doing this, and we're still going to get you that Friday segment on Friday because we can't do it on Saturday because we got to predict some games. What we're doing today, basically going over, recapping all the games. We won't do much clip analysis today, but we'll just kind of do our catch and release segment, and then we'll go over each game that was played this week, the big ones that we talked about, talk about our predictions, whether they worked out or not. Had some bad beats, had some good wins. I know we had deep sea dogs. I mean, if you watched last Friday, the deep sea dogs were barking.
Yes, sir. What a start to the dog section.
Yeah, and so USCO had Virginia, and if anybody watched that game Friday night, they'll know what happened to Florida State.
What a start. What a start. They played well. Got to give it to them. That was a crazy game, too, overtime.
Hmm.
I mean, Castellanos converts on fourth and goal to go to overtime. Like, that was crazy.
Yeah,
What a way. What a
that
way to start
throw,
the weekend.
that was wild. And even the beginning, I mean, Virginia got off to a fast start, and then I thought, oh no, like UVA started kind of turning the ball over. Florida
Yeah, it
State
got
getting
bad.
quick scores, but they stayed in it. Like credit to them. And that field storm is like one of the craziest field storms I
That
think.
was nuts.
I
That
mean,
was
that guy is
nuts.
still on the ground in the corner of the end zone, and it's
Just
just mass.
mauled.
Yeah,
Bad.
mass exodus.
Gotta love it, though. That's what this sport's all about.
No, I love it. I'm sure that they'll put some big fines in and maybe some big railings in right on the lawn.
Yeah, they got yeah, that was bad.
So we'll have to see. And then my deep sea dog last week was Mississippi State. I'll get the points for covering that. Thought
I
they were going
mean,
to put out.
this close to getting 15 points right there. But
I know. So currently it stands that Yusko, you were at 15 points, 5 points for covering the spread. You got 10 for the outright win. Good pick there. And then I'm at 5 for covering the spread. But trust me, that'll change next week. So I'm looking to flip the script.
looking out for you, man.
Cool. So other than that, you watch everything else over the weekend? I mean, I know we had Ryder Cup. We had
So I actually had a insane sports weekend. I mean, obviously we started with the deep sea dog. I actually got up early that day to watch the Ryder Cup. Support my country, watch some quality golf. But that's exactly what didn't happen. We got our asses handed to us. Pardon my language, but yeah, thought we could maybe right the ship on Saturday. Nope, didn't.
mm-mm.
Um, right, and then my baseball team decides to stop playing quality baseball and loses a playoff spot by losing to the Miami Marlins on Saturday and Sunday. My the Giants somehow put a win together against the Chargers.
Jackson
Yeah.
Dart, baby.
Jackson Dart looking good, even though we're traveling to New Orleans this weekend, and if he loses, that it'll all go to waste. But it's still early in his career. I just got to play devil's advocate after some of the few seasons we've had in the past. Um, but yeah, overall, college football had a great weekend. Not gonna lie, a lot of upsets. I mean, I didn't. My predictions didn't go great, but it's gonna happen.
Yep. Yeah, same here. I think we had some similar picks. I think the main thing though is we had a lot of them being close, and most of them were close. I think this is the best weekend of the premier games, really living up to the hype so far, especially those last two night games. I mean, one going to overtime, the other one pretty much coming down to the wire again,
Right.
Alabama, Georgia. But yeah, I mean, Ryder Cup. I watched the Ryder Cup on Sunday though, and I didn't turn it on until halfway through, but I realized we were making a run. I thought we might get it done.
That
So
was a crazy run, and I had to balance that the New York Football Giants and the New York Mets making me want to kill myself. So it
that's
was it was a it was a weird Sunday to say the least.
Yeah, weird Sunday, but we're gonna get into talking about Saturday. Like you said, it was a great day.
Yep.
I go back over those games once again: Notre Dame, Arkansas, USC, Illinois, Auburn, Texas A&M, Oregon, Penn State, and Alabama, Georgia. So we're gonna go through those games. But first, we're gonna do the catch and release segment that we introduced last week. I hope you've got some good ones. I've got some ones written down. we'll kind of just go back and forth. Why don't you start us off with the first catch or release?
All right, I got a good one for you, Harry. Obviously, we highlighted Alabama, Georgia being probably the game of the week, and it lived up to expectations. I know Penn State and Oregon was also a great game. But with everything being said and the outcome of the game being what it was, catch or release, Alabama is a top 5 team in the country.
Top five. Top
I'm
five.
going top 5.
Wow. That's a really difficult one because obviously you look at that Florida State game and then you look at what happened to Florida State. I don't like doing that too much where you look back and you kind of do like a trail of losses and who lost to who, and that means
Yeah,
something bad. I'll just look at their performance, and in the last 3 weeks, they've looked like maybe you could even argue one of the best teams in the country, and they got one of the best wins this season so far, going to Georgia, playing there. Now we know the history that Alabama and Georgia have, so I don't know if I put a little bit of grain of salt into that, just the fact that the mental game is kind of with Alabama currently. Anytime these two teams play, Alabama seems to walk in there and have a win. It's why you see them get off to the fast start. You see them go up 24-7. You see them last year 28-0. It's like that mental part of the game at the beginning, Alabama just owns. And then it's on Georgia whether they can wake up and start to respond. And normally they do. But the last 2 years it's gone to Alabama. So big week this week. Obviously, you got Vandy. That's a revenge game. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna actually go catch as much as it hurts me to say that because I always like to prey on Alabama's downfall and Kalen DeBoer. I do think they have found something with Ty Simpson, and I think they found something with those receivers. And when you can line up your left tackle at receiver and run a screen pass to him where he barrels through everybody, I think you're feeling pretty good about your offense. And then the defense is just going to be an Alabama defense that we've seen before. So I'm actually going to go yes. I mean, you got to trust what they've done in the past, what that program's known for. I'm going to go catch top 5 team in the country, although it hurts.
I like it. I like it. For my take, I think that they're definitely top 10, 100%. You'll probably see them in the college football playoff, especially after that win. That's big for them. I don't know if I'm ready to put them in the top 5. I do think that this weekend is going to be a game to circle that we will talk about on Friday. Um, I say I put them around like 7, 8, 9. You know what I mean? I think five's a little much, but they really looked like they could enter that conversation because given the history and the level of magnitude people held Georgia at, right? So it's a long season, but I do think that that's a quality football team that deserves some hype,
hmm Yeah, I agree. And you look at the rest of their schedule, it's pretty favorable in terms of that was like their
right?
big road test. I mean, they go on the road to Missouri, they go on the road to South Carolina, but then the games they get at home, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, LSU, Oklahoma, all those are big games, but the fact that you get them at home just makes it that much harder to kind of discount them. If they had to go on the road to a couple more of those places, maybe I would look and say that they're not ready to be top 5. They still got to prove it, but that was a pretty big prove-it moment this weekend for a lot of doubters, a lot of people saying that they weren't there. So,
Right. I agree.
yeah. All right. Well, I'll give you my first one. One that I really like. Notre Dame can still make the playoffs.
Mm.
So basically, run the table, and they showed a big win, but can they still make the playoffs and how if they could?
So I like that because obviously they got out to a tough start, lost to Miami, lost to Texas A&M. Um, but I really think that rough start attributes to more of a new team and a new quarterback rather than like their overall quality, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
I'm trying to pull up their schedule right now because I think that also is important if we're going to talk about.
It's not very tough, to be
It's
fair.
not tough. Yeah. So yeah, this week they have Boise State, then they got NC State, USC, Boston College, Navy, Pitt, Syracuse. I mean, if they win out, they probably get in. It depends also. I mean, I think Miami and Texas A&M are pretty fair losses. Those are two very good teams, top 10 teams. Miami on the road. So I'm gonna go catch. I think that they can still win out and get in there. I think they'll be one of the lower seeds probably. Probably have to go on the road again, play in a tough environment. But I like the way that offense looked. I mean, Jeremiah Love is back in the Heisman conversation. That guy's going to be top pick in the NFL draft. So I do expect to see them playing in January or late December, I guess what it is. But I guess we'll see. They really got to win these cupcake games, so for lack of better terms, in order
Oh
to
yeah.
get a spot in the playoff.
Yeah, no, I think that USC game is really the only game they have left that seems like a huge test, but I think it's somewhat out of their control right now. I think a lot of it will also come down to if Miami and Texas A&M can sustain what they've been doing, because if those two teams drop off and those losses become worse, then it's sort of out of their hands. But if those two teams stay top 10 teams, then I agree
Right.
with you. I think they have a shot. I think they put themselves in a little bit of a hard situation, but combined 4 points for two losses to two top 10 teams. It's tough to keep them out.
You got to respect it a little bit, especially with a whole new offensive system with the changeover from going from Riley Leonard to CJ Carr. You gotta give him a little bit of leeway there.
All right, well, let's go into your
All right,
next.
I got another one for you. Ready?
Yep.
Another game of the week. Just said it. Oregon Penn State. Kind of a pretty big shocker. I know a lot of people thought Penn State whiteout game. You know, team that went to the semifinal last year. Right. This is a game they have to win. And Oregon went in there and they handled business. To be honest with you, they were up big early, and then they made an effort to come back, but ultimately couldn't pull it out in the end. But as a result of this game, would you say Oregon is a national championship contender?
It's very similar to Alabama, right? I mean, you go on the road and you play what is seen as the big dog or one of the big dogs in your conference. That's a good little pun there that I put in. Didn't even realize that. Um, but what is seen as one of the big dogs in your conference, and you beat them in their place in a really, really hostile environment at night. I mean, that's a really, really good win for Oregon. And you can make the comments about Penn State and big games, all that, but that is a huge win for Oregon. I don't know exactly what the rest of their schedule looks like, but I think that team is only going to get better. That quarterback, I mean, we talked about it last week. We were like, this is kind of an early spot, and that's why we picked Penn State. I think both of us, we were like, this is an early spot for a really good Oregon team. But we both mentioned in that this Oregon team is good enough later down the line to beat a lot of people.
Right.
I love what Dan Lanning does. I love what he's done there for the last like however long he's been there. But so I'm actually going to go catch. I think Oregon, you can put in that conversation now. And I think it's going to be tough because I think there's going to be a lot of teams now that are going to enter with either a loss or something like that. So for Oregon to be in the position they're in now, I would put them until they prove to me that they're not. I'm putting them as a national championship contender.
I like that. So this is actually probably going to be a really scorching take for me, but I think Dan Lanning's probably my favorite head coach in all of college football right now. That guy is electric. If you see that guy talking to his team before the game, I know there was a clip last year. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. Maybe it was with Bo Nix where he was like getting them all ready to go before playing prime time in Colorado. He was just like, they're playing for clicks, we're playing for wins.
Oh,
Like,
I love
I
that.
don't know. He just does a great job. I just think that that kind of head coach is so important for success in college football and football in general. And we really, like you said, I thought this was going to be a really good loss for them to build upon. And they said, you know what, you're an idiot because we're going to go win this and we're going to probably go undefeated, right? So, like, that's definitely the biggest game on their schedule. They got Indiana at home, not this week, but next week,
Mhm.
right? I mean, if IU is a good team, obviously, but I don't really think they can go in and win that game. Um, then they got Rutgers, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, USC, and Washington. Like, I don't know. Do you see another loss on that schedule? Like,
Do you have any road game? What are their road games? That's the only thing.
Rutgers, Iowa,
Okay.
and Washington,
So yeah, no, I don't see another loss.
right?
You're gonna think they're significantly worse than Ohio State.
One of those teams is probably going to give them a good game, right? It's going to wake them up, shock them, but they're still going to come out with a win.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, my hot take and why I'm going to give you a catch is because they're going to win out. and they're going to play in the Big Ten chip, and they're probably going to play Ohio State. And right, that's just a good game in general to have on your resume before you go into the playoff, right? It's probably going to be difficult for them to win that game. I don't. They definitely could win that game against Ohio State. Ohio State is probably going to also be undefeated going in. I know they have to play Penn State, Michigan, but they look really good. Their defense looks insane. So I think if Dante Moore gets to play that Matt Patricia defense in the Big Ten chip, and then go into the playoff, like
Hmm.
he's kind of battle tested and he's coming off a loss hungry. Though we've seen is actually pretty good for this 12-team playoff. You know, you look at Ohio State losing to Michigan last week of the season, they turn it around and go all the way. So I think Oregon's definitely up there in the national champion contender list, and I actually do expect to see them at least in the semifinal when we're talking again later in the year.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you win in a whiteout game, that does a lot for you. So, I mean, they proved us wrong. They made us look like idiots this last week with predictions.
Yeah, I mean Penn State obviously, the big game narrative, like they can't win it. But I mean, if you look at some of the teams they lost to Michigan when they won the national championship. Obviously, they lose to Ohio State every year, but like who beats Ohio State besides Michigan? Like, pretty much nobody. So like you gotta just take. It's just tough. I mean, Drew Aller, he has a bunch of tough games, but I still really like the kid. He's really good
Hmm.
quarterback. Obviously, has some crucial interceptions, but I think that's good for him. Obviously, you got to fail before you can succeed. So I mean, I don't think we should totally throw Penn State off the map, but that's tough. And going into that, I know that there's probably going to be a lot of conversations about their head coach James Franklin, basically because of what I just said and his ability to not really get past the giant, not win the big ones. So do you think they should be considering moving on from him?
James Franklin. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those like Dabo kind of conversations, except he's not losing, I guess, as much as Dabo. But just that you win every single game. Like he wins every single game, except for one or two every year. And it's like every other team in the country would be like, yes, every other fan base will take 10-2 every year, whatever it is, 10-2, 11-1. That's what they go like every single year. And so, I mean, I would take that. Like I would love that, but it becomes at a certain point, it becomes a culture thing. And it seems to me like it's a little bit of a culture thing and a little bit of a mental game. And like you talked about Dan Lanning and those press conference speeches, and like he makes you want to like run your head through like a brick wall
Mm-hmm.
every time. Um, James Franklin, I don't know if he wants to like I see clips of him like arguing with fans in the stands, and like I don't know if he brings that same energy. And with this roster that he has, like let's be real, like he should be winning any game, especially at home. And some could argue any game in general. Like they should be winning. So I think it's time. I think a lot of Penn State fans think it's time, but I think it's time to start having the conversation. I think you got to see what he does against Ohio State.
Yeah.
You can get if he can get past Ohio State, he writes because all it takes is one. All it takes is one win, and you write all the narrative off the board about big time games, all that stuff. So at the end of the day, you're still going to the playoffs. You're still playing for a shot at a national championship. So I think it's really hard to release a guy that gives you a shot to go win a national championship every year.
Right.
So yeah,
I
I'd
agree.
say, I'd say not yet.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's tough. I think he's a really good recruiter. Obviously, puts together some impressive recruiting classes. Was able to get Singleton and Katron Allen. Also, Drew Aller was a really high quarterback prospect. If you look back at those rankings, yeah, it's just tough. I don't know. I mean, they get new defensive coordinator this year, right? So I don't know. There's just a lot of turnover in that building. I I don't think it's time to say move on from him, but I don't know. There's something's got to change over there. I don't know what it is. They had some questionable play calls there in that game. I mean, Franklin doesn't call the plays, so like that's hard to put on him. I don't know. I just think there's got to be a shift there. I don't really know what it is, to be honest with you. I'm kind of just spewing, but I don't think we're ready to give up on them. And I
Yeah.
know Penn State fans are kind of brutal in that way of just being like, I'm done. I'm done losing the big ones because they expect greatness, and I mean respectfully so. But I'm gonna release that one and say he should stick around. I just there's something's got to change.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. He's got to make that jump at some point and very soon. Um, all right, then we'll just go last one for today, and then we'll go into the recap games. We'll just take one from the comment section last week. We kind of alluded to this on Friday, but at Danny Mayer said the national champion will not be from the SEC or the Big Ten. Are you catching or are you releasing that bit of a scorching hot take? I don't know where I'd go otherwise, but it's a possibility. There are going to be teams in there that aren't Big Ten and SEC. So always a possibility.
Yeah, Danny Mayer's an idiot. I mean, that is just one of the stupidest takes I've ever heard. Right. So if we go down the list and we look at teams that are not in the Big Ten and SEC that are going to probably play for a national championship, we could talk about Miami. We could talk about maybe Florida State. I mean, I don't know.
Georgia Tech undefeated.
Georgia Tech. There we go. I mean, if we look at the Big 12, I don't know. I mean, Iowa State's pretty good, I guess. Who
Texas
else?
Tech, maybe.
Texas Tech. I mean, who is going to beat like a Georgia, an Alabama, Ohio State, an
I think
Oregon?
Notre Dame is the only one that comes into
Oh, I guess. Yeah, we're forgetting about scary Notre Dame, I guess. But I mean, their track record isn't great. Obviously, they had a great year last year, but that there's just no way. There's just no way.
Yeah,
There's going to be too many teams that are in the Big Ten and SEC in the field that just significantly outweigh the small few of outside the ACC, Big 12, and your stupid conferences that get automatic bids or whatever. That's just stupid.
yeah.
But
I think that becomes a question.
I think we're releasing that
Question
fish
of
and then throwing him across the pond.
do you see? So let's just go hypothetical here. We'll put Ohio State in the national championship just because they're the defending champ, and then we'll put teams against them. So Georgia Tech, Ohio State, who you taking?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even need to say it. Like, that's just like silly. You think, I mean, Caleb Downs and that entire defense is going to just destroy Haynes King. Just destroy. There's
Yeah,
no way.
you got Miami, Miami, Ohio State.
And probably a little bit closer, but I mean, Carson Beck hasn't done much, anything impressive really at the big on the big stage. I mean, I guess they won an SEC chip in Atlanta. Did he?
Carson Beck.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think
Yes, I
he's
want to
got
say
he maybe
yes.
has one, but hey,
Yeah,
whoop de
well,
doo,
he didn't even win that because Gunnar Stockton came in because he was hurt. So not
bingo.
really
There
on his
you,
resume.
well, there you go. So I mean, no, I'm not saying Ohio State beats Miami. Like that's
Yeah.
just crazy.
No, I think you can go down the line here, and then we already saw what happened with Notre Dame and Ohio State last year. I'm good not seeing that movie again for the second time. It was fun, but not this year.
It's a cute
So
little effort from Notre Dame, but
yeah, good comment though. So it's
we love the comments. But I mean, let's just
yeah.
think before we type. Maybe I don't know.
So that's gonna conclude catch and release. If you guys have any comments that you want to put in, like Danny Mayer's down there, any scorching hot takes you have, any bold takes, we'll talk about them on the show. Either any Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on when we get this episode out. Should be Tuesday. Now we'll jump into the games. So we'll start with Notre Dame and Arkansas. Talk about that one, and then we'll go down the line from there. So bit of a massacre. Why don't you get us
Yeah,
started?
I mean, massacre to say the least. Going in, I think our predictions were on par. Or did you say what was your prediction again?
I had it close. I had Notre Dame winning, but I had it closer. I had
I think
31.
I had it. I think I had it close. I had it within 10, but
I had a backdoor cover.
I don't
So
think anyone could have expected the. I mean, maybe some could have expected the beat down, but I don't think of that magnitude.
Mhm.
I think we expected Arkansas's offense to look a little bit better, but in terms of the spots that we were right in, I think right we had the run game back for Notre Dame. Right, you had two running backs averaging over 4 yards a carry. Right, CJ Carr kind of played lights out. Right, he completed like a really large amount of his passes through for 350,
Mhm.
4 touchdowns, played a clean game. Right, so I mean. Once you put all those things together, right, they're going to be hard to beat, especially when the run game starts, because then it opens it up for your quarterback. And like we've said, made a point to earlier, right? They got Boise State next week. They got like USC. They have all these teams that are like going to be not on that level of, Miami and Texas A&M, which they started the year off with.
Mhm.
And I think it's only going to get easier for CJ Carr. I think we see them. We'll be talking about them later in the year in December when all those brackets start to come out. But really impressed by them. I think we could be talking to, another quarterfinal, semifinal team right there.
Yeah, no, I agree. 56 to 13. I mean, you got a head coach fired. You beat somebody so bad. I mean, same thing
Right. That's
weeks
right. I forgot
before.
about that. Pittman's gone, but
So I
hell of
took
a
a
job.
pretty good win for Notre Dame. I'll read this is what I saw that I thought was super impressive. I'll read you their drive chart. So we'll start just from the first quarter and onward. Touchdown, 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 touchdown. Turnover on downs in the third quarter, already up 42 to 13. Touchdown, touchdown, game ends.
And
So
the backups are in there at the end, by the way. So just like, that's crazy.
yeah, I mean that alone, Arkansas could have done whatever they wanted in this game, and that alone will beat you. And Arkansas's defenses, they're not known for it. That's not a big staple of their team. They are known for their offense. I think Notre Dame showed back to what we all thought they were coming into the year, really good defense, high-powered offense, and I think they're going to be kicking themselves that they weren't using their Heisman Trophy running back for the first 2 weeks like they did in this game. I mean, put him out as a pass catcher. Do everything to get the ball in Jeremiah Love's hands. He had 4 touchdowns, I think maybe in the first half. I think it was in the first half actually, but 4 touchdowns in there. I mean, Arkansas couldn't slow him down. They wanted to. I saw some of the runs he had in the end zone. He was just spinning off people. He was pushing them aside. It was like they were children out there to Jeremiah Love. So I think you got
Yeah,
to get the ball in his hands, like we talked about. They finally did that. I think they're going to have a lot of success going forward with that.
I agree. I mean, I think if I had these two running backs, I'd literally just sit down and watch every single like Detroit Lions game and just literally study their playbook and just use them like exactly how you would use Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs because it's honestly an even better version of those two, Monty and Gibbs, on a college level. Like I would say Jeremiah Love is a little bit more quality than Demo, and you got your speedster and Price, which resembles Gibbs, and you just like kind of swap them back and forth with speed and power, and you don't the defense doesn't know what to expect. I think that's super big advantage to have,
Mhm.
especially against these lower quality teams that they're going to have on the resume. I just I think if Marcus Freeman in that offense finds a way to really make them complement each other and play and keep the ball their side and eat up possession time and limit turnovers, they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a lot of what we talked about. I think we predicted this game, obviously not the magnitude of which they would win, but just the fact that that running game is back. That O line was bullying that D line the entire game. I mean, just from a blocking
Right.
standpoint, they are elite team. So if they play any defense, and their defenses they play coming up are not very good, so it's gonna be hard to slow down this offense. The over under killed me. I will say. I had the
Oh
under.
yeah, I think I had that number.
Under 64 and a half,
Yeah.
and the fact that there were what was it, that's 42 52 55 points scored in the first half alone. uh I was I was shocked.
I mean, yeah.
Water.
I mean, I wasn't. Yeah, we didn't call that. Let's just say that. And then when the backups came in, the backups were scoring touchdowns. They had a 4 play drive. Yeah, whoever Kenny Minchie, who are you? 37-yard pass and then a 17-yard run from A. Dot Williams. Like, what? I mean, Arkansas. Jesus.
Yeah, that's the end of Arkansas hype. I love Taylor Green, but he's kind of alone out there.
Just night night.
So yeah, good night, Arkansas. I wish them the best of luck with their season. Hopefully they get an interim coach that can do something, but it's going to be a tough rest of the road for Arkansas.
Oh yeah.
The-
Yikes.
But I think that's kind of our biggest blowout game, so we can move on from that. I think we got everything we saw from that, which is just Notre Dame's a powerhouse. They're back. Arkansas has no head coach. We'll move to Illinois and USC, the other noon game, which
Mm.
I was at a bar for this, and they kept showing the Notre Dame Arkansas game and wouldn't flip it off. And I kept asking for the Illinois USC game. Eventually, just had to pull it up on my phone. But this game was a good one. Really, really, really good game. So you can jump us into that.
Yeah. So I completely airballed on this game. I thought USC would roll them. Obviously, we said this was gonna be a high scoring game, which it was, but I was completely wrong on Illinois. Yeah, they really just shut me up. They've kind of fixed a lot of their problems that were in the Indiana game film. Altmaier played a hell of a game. 20 for 26, 328 and two tuds. Like, I mean, I don't know what else you're going to ask from a quarterback. That's pretty good. I mean, 97.5 QBR. That's really impressive. I think that, I guess when you get a defense like USC, it kind of helps you reset because they walked into Indiana kind of as high as you can get and then face a good team at night. So, kind
Mhm.
of really good buy low for spot Illinois was in, and I didn't see it. So, shout out them. I think that they're definitely a top, I'd say probably 20 team, right? I don't think I would put them any higher than like 15, but I think they're right in that 15 to 20 range.
Mhm.
They get a nice little cupcake game this weekend, traveling to West Lafayette, but then we got them. Then they got to host Ohio State, and that's kind of where we'll see it all come together, see where they are. Because right, I know I keep harping on this tier of the Big Ten, but when we were trying to see where they can fit in, and they're probably going to be right around Indiana, and that's tier two. And I said USC was in there, but they shut me up real fast. So shout out Illinois, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree. I had USC winning this game as well. I had it 35 to 33, so I was really hoping for a late field goal from USC on the flip side. I know they didn't have time. I was hoping some time would be left and then I could be, 2 points off of it. We both had the over, so, that was, I think, a really comfortable pick for both of us. We both said we really liked that. The over hit by a good amount, pretty easily. I think USC is not that bad. I think Illinois just showed this was kind of in a hole this week was a lot of not revenge, but like get
Get
back
right spots.
shut the haters up for a
Yeah,
lot of different teams. I mean, we just talked about Notre Dame, shut the haters up that are talking about you being under 500 and are going to go struggle in Arkansas. They shut everybody up. That we're levels above Arkansas.
right.
And then for Illinois, everybody looked at last week, coming to this week, how can you pick Illinois? How can Illinois win? They look so abysmal. Just a complete 180 turnaround from that team. I think Altmaier showed that he can be the guy as long as he's protected. So when they come up against some other D lines, it's going to be really tough for them to protect. But they did it well enough in this game. And in the end, they got the win, and that's what matters. And he threw the ball really well, 20 to 26 for 328 and two touchdowns. So you can't argue with that. I thought Mayava still played well, but in the end, threw one interception, and that ended up being
The
being the turning
difference.
spot. Yeah, the difference in this whole game. So yeah, really impressed with Illinois. That makes me excited for the rest of the Big Ten this year, having Illinois back. It's not just the top dogs. You got Illinois, USC, and then everybody else as well. So. Yeah, good game. Surprised me. I think surprised both of us. A good overall game. We'll see what they do on the road in West Lafayette. They might get to try some fun things out, like most teams do. Um, but yeah, and then for USC, they still looked good. I think that Notre Dame game is going to be really, really fun, really interesting. So I look forward to that. But yeah, good get right spot for Illinois and burned us because we both thought USC was getting a win in that one.
Yeah, should be a another get right spot. Play the Purdue Boilermakers and their embarrassment of a football program. So
Yeah. Let's talk about a get wrong spot again. Just overall offensively get wrong spot. And let's talk about the Auburn Tigers and Texas A&M Aggies. Obviously, Texas A&M won this game 16 to 10. Disgusting football game from start to finish. I mean, I guess if you love defensive football, there was a lot of that, but there was a lot of penalties too. There was a lot of stuff that was just like stopping the game, starting the game. It was another grinded out kind of game, which is kind of what I thought when I made my prediction. I talked about that. I thought it'd be similar to Oklahoma. I was wrong, however. I thought Auburn would be able to put a drive together at the end. They had a shot, and once again, it looked utterly abysmal. So the offense is nowhere to be found. I don't know what they're going to do against Georgia. They got to come up with some sort of game plan. You've completely abandoned their run at this point. I think their running backs, yeah, they went 24 carries for 52 yards. That's absolutely terrible. You gave 6 carries to your leading running back and then 2 carries to your backup, and then Jackson Arnold running around for his life was the rest of it. So O-line play bad again. Defense was good though. That's a good thing. So
Yeah, I mean a lot of good, a lot of bad all over the tape. Probably the biggest stat of the game, and honestly, when I saw it, I couldn't believe it because I didn't really watch this game. Didn't get a lot of TV time for me over LSU and Ole Miss, which we'll talk about in a second. But after this game wrapped up, I looked at it and they were 0 for 13 on third down.
you said it. Yep.
That's that's horrible. I mean, that just can't happen. You got to convert on third down. I think maybe this could have attributed to some of the penalties. Like, were a lot of the penalties holding? You might have watched it better. Was it all
A
holding?
lot of the penalties, false starts, just I guess that environment getting to them. Just once again, it was mainly the O line though. Other than that, there weren't a lot of penalties not on the O line.
So I mean, yeah, when you take a penalty, put yourself into third and long, it's pretty impossible, especially when you go on a road environment like that. I mean, hats off to them for covering. I think we both said we had them covering, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
both.
cool. So at least that protects our reputation. But that, I mean, that was a rough game for the Auburn Tigers. Probably one to forget. But hey, I said, Illinois had a rough game, right? We were sitting here bashing them, and they turn around and come back and put together a pretty impressive performance against USC, right? So maybe Auburn needed this. They needed to struggle a little bit and get themselves right before they go. Probably what does their schedule look like coming up?
They got a bye week this week, and then they have Georgia at home, and then Missouri at home. So you finally get off this brutal road trip,
Yep,
get some games at home, and you better be ready for Georgia because they're coming for. I mean, after if Alabama had beaten Georgia, I think my outlook may be different, but Georgia's going to be coming in swinging. So
that's the game. That's the game that's circled for them. Absolutely, obviously Alabama at the end of the year, but that game has to be circled,
yeah, it's
especially after. Yep. So Georgia on their schedule, not this week, but next week. So that's a great spot for them to, prove back to the SEC world that they're worth talking about because that was an abysmal performance.
yeah.
But
So
it's got to happen. Teams got to go through that in order to bounce back and succeed. So
yeah, a lot of changes need to be made on the bye week. The 0 of 13 on third down can't happen. The penalties can't happen, especially when you go play Georgia. Will be Cam Newton jersey retirement night, so maybe
oh
good things. Night game. I will be at that game.
wow,
So I'm excited for
you
that.
got boots on the ground. All right, all
Yeah,
right, all
boots
right.
on the ground. We'll have some live footage that I'll throw in whenever we do our episode. I'll throw in some live footage from that game. Should be an electric atmosphere. I'm just hoping for the best. So, yeah, that's all really you can say about this ugly, ugly game. Congrats to Texas A&M, I guess, with your elite offense of 16 points. But welcome to the top 10, Aggies, and welcome maybe not to 8-4.
Yeah,
So let's move on to Ole Miss and LSU. Big headline, big storyline game. This one was shocking in a lot of ways as well. But Lane Kiffin got it done. So
yeah. I mean, what a game! I guess. I mean, they proved Ole Miss once again get proved wrong. Um, Ole Miss Lane Kiffin was all talking about the tempo. That's probably why he said take the over was because the game plan going into the game was to just make these guys run and run and run. Um, and it seemed to have worked. I mean, LSU's offense couldn't stay on the field and their defense couldn't get off the field. I mean, where are these stats? Yeah, 18 play drive with 83 yards in the first quarter. That's sets the tone for the game, and then Nussmeier throws an interception. Right, I think this was kind of just the game where offense kind of hurt them a little bit because they had a few good wins before, obviously with Clemson and I mean I guess we can call Florida a good one, but 19 points isn't going to win you a majority of your games. I think obviously Ole Miss put together a good game plan after seeing a lot of what they do on film defensively and offensively. And shout out Chambliss. I guess that's kind of the player of the game, so to speak. That guy, it really kind of shocked me. He played pretty decent.
he's
Threw
the
for
guy.
300 yards.
He's the guy.
So I mean, I guess LSU didn't really know what to do with him. He actually also ran for 71. So they were able to control the game on the ground and through the air, which is the recipe for success. You got to tip your cap to the Rebels. I guess Are they a top 10 team now? I don't even know if I have the rankings. They got to be, right?
Yeah, I actually don't know either. Yeah, they moved all the way up to four actually.
And screw top 10. They're top five. That's kind
Yeah,
of
they just
insane.
replaced. They pretty much swapped with LSU. So
Yeah, here they are. They jumped 9 spots. Yeah, wow. That's a whoa. All right,
yeah,
but yeah, I guess shout out Kiffin. We'll see how the rest of their schedule goes because obviously it's the SEC and it's pretty unpredictable. Um, but yeah,
yeah. Congrats on fading him. Though I should not have tailed. That's the last time I tailed Lane Kiffin's tweets. I'm not looking at his Twitter ever again. Because it didn't work. He said take the over. The under did smack.
in theory, his game plan should have worked in the favor. I just think that yeah, his off not his offense. LSU's defense was, I guess, a little bit better than they thought.
Yeah,
Or
and I have
LSU, yeah,
major
sorry.
question marks. I have major question marks about LSU's offense at this point in the year. Um, I think you've had a lot of tests, you've had a lot of places to get right, and you came in, everybody talking about your offense. And this to me, I mean, I said it in my prediction, I thought LSU would win. Very close game, but I thought that offense would finally show up, and that's the one thing that really didn't show up again. Obviously, they got some points on the board, but it's just not going to cut it for that offense and for what they think is a national championship contender, and what they think is a Heisman Trophy quarterback. So I've got a lot of questions about LSU's offense. I think Ole Miss answered a lot of questions, but I look at their schedule and they've got at Georgia, at Oklahoma after a little tune-up game at home against Washington State. So they have a tough road. They have a tough road coming up, Ole Miss. So we're gonna see. I think you're gonna see a
Yeah,
lot of lost teams in the SEC, not a lot of undefeated teams. So
I mean, having them in the top five, obviously you have to put them there after where you held LSU.
mm.
But I mean, let's be real, that is just not a top five team. Like we're gonna move on from that. They're gonna stay there until they play Georgia, but that's just kind of
Oh, I
nuts
was
to me.
surprised a little bit too, because I mean, Vegas, like they did have them favored in the game with the -1.5 to Ole Miss, and then they covered that. But then to move them, whatever it was, it's a 9
9 spots.
into the top five when they're playing at home and you have them favored. I think it's a little bit absurd of a jump, but maybe they just thought that highly of LSU. Maybe they still think that highly of LSU.
That's
So
true. That's true.
they're a good team, but we're gonna see. I thought that was a really fun one. I wish I could have watched more of that. I was stuck watching the absolute disaster fest that was Texas A&M and Auburn, in which Auburn did not have a drive over 57 yards the entire game. So excellent.
Yikes.
Um,
Yep.
Big yikes. Their one touchdown drive was 2 yards, by the way.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh nice. Well,
great. Doing well. All right. Oregon and Penn State. Before we get into Alabama, Georgia. Oregon, Penn State, talked a little bit about that. Yeah, and very, very impressive. We talked about that in catch and release, but very
yeah, we touched on it a little bit. Really kind of a snooze fest, at least for the beginning of the game. I think we were talking about the environment of the whiteout being what it is, and it being difficult for road teams to come in there and play. And it was for the most part to begin with. Then they kind of ran away with it for a little bit, but Allard put it together and brought it back. I mean, I gotta tip my cap to Dante. He really played a clean game. 80.7 QBR. They had a running back that rushed for 8.2 yards a carry. Their stud. I know you talked about Decorian Moore. He played well.
Mhm.
Um, and I think really it just boiled down to Drew Aller's really lack of a passing attack. I think when you I've harped on it all episode, when you're able to both run and throw the ball, it makes it hard to stop. But if you are not great or not able to work in one of those departments, then it becomes kind of a lot easier for an opposing team as I mean, even of the quality of Oregon to kind of win that one. And it came down, it was really close. I mean, 2 overtimes, right?
Mhm.
Oregon put together a 1 play drive in double OT There was an in route crosser that he took 25 yards to the house. And then our boy Dylan Thieneman, Purdue transfer,
Come
just
on.
ball hawks. I mean, if you watch that play back, I know we're not doing clips. I 100% would have shown it. He's just staring at the wheel route running up the sideline, and Thieneman, who's just sitting in coverage, which he does best, and makes crazy plays and tackles, just boop, game over. Place is silent. Like, I mean, what a game. Got a
Yeah.
shot at him. He's probably Dylan Thieneman's a guy to watch. I mean, we watched him at Purdue, I know, but he's a quality safety. You gotta give respect where it's due.
Yeah, I wonder if he benefited from being the only defender on the Purdue team, so he just learned how to ball hawk because he had to be everywhere. So
Oh, I don't even want to get into the misery that team brought me, but he was just utilized poorly as a Purdue Boilermaker. I'm glad he's thriving over there in
yeah, I mean
Eugene.
he's going to be playing on Sundays. I mean he's a great
He's a
safety.
dog. He's a
I'm
dog.
excited to see what happens.
Great instincts, great ball tracking. I mean, everything you need in a safety prospect.
Oh yeah,
He's going to be in that Philly Eagles white boy club. I wouldn't be surprised if the fucking Eagles take him and then just make me miserable for the rest of my life watching him come to MetLife once a year and just oh god, don't go ahead. Don't let me speak anymore.
um, yeah, that would hurt. That would hurt big time. I'm glad he wouldn't be in the division. Yeah, but I agree with you. I think Drew Aller's lack of being able to pass the ball. I think Oregon sold in on the run, which was right. They didn't let the run game beat them. Good game plan there. But then you got to beat them in the air. You got to be able to throw and beat them one on one. You got to make those safeties drop back and not come down into the box. They didn't do a good enough job of that. Drew Aller didn't do a good enough job of that. And so, yeah, in the end, it's the same kind of thing, same situation that we saw last year in the playoffs when they played Notre Dame of just Drew Aller. Like they're going to stay in the game. They're going to be good enough. They have the roster and the talent. But you got to make throws. You got to make good throws and you got to make timely throws. So,
And it's confusing to me. Sorry, I'm cutting you off, but
right.
Drew Aller actually does a really good job of like throughout the game, just like not being afraid to check it down, right? Taking what the defense gives you, but it's like he's a whole different quarterback when the pressure's on and they're down in a crucial time where he's not like you don't need to throw that ball up the sideline. It's like I think that was that first down. I mean, I think it was first down. They just gotten the ball, right? So
um,
you got to just take what defense gives you, just check the ball down, just slowly chip away. I know Oregon got it in one play, but that's because your defense gave it up. He was wide open over the middle, right? So he's just got to get better. He literally does it all game. He's the king of using his legs when there's nothing there to just stack up positive plays and limit negative ones, and he just completely flipped the switch in overtime. So I'm not really worried about him as a quarterback. I honestly think he's a good quarterback prospect if I was an NFL GM, but he's got to that's got to stop.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. The decision making in the clutch moments, I don't know if it's him wanting to be a hero or he just kind of panics and wants to get points on the board because it happened with Notre Dame last year. It was like I think it was also first or second down when they threw that pick. They had just gotten the ball back. They were tied. All they had to do was go march into field goal range, and
Mm-hmm.
they threw a pick on literally like the second play of the drive. So similar thing there. I think he wants to be that guy. I think he has it in him to be that guy, but just got to be a little bit more patient when it comes to the big plays.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, I think that was a good game. We talked a lot about that earlier, so I think we're good to move on to well, actually, what did you put for that game? I think we both had Penn State winning by almost double digits.
I think I did. I think I did. I think I had them winning. I think it was like right around 10, 11, maybe. I really thought this
Oh
was
yeah.
a this was a letdown spot for Dante Moore, and this would be like his revenge game to
Mhm.
look back on and just build this, impressive season afterwards. But he said, "Nah, nah, 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 nah. I'm gonna do it now and continue it." So shout out him.
He looks for real. Yeah, Dante
He
Moore.
looked good.
So I'm excited to see what Oregon and Dan Lanning can do in the future. And then finally, the one we hyped up kind of all Friday episode lived up to the hype 100%. Pretty similar script as last year. Obviously not as big of swings, but Alabama jumps out early. Georgia climbs back. Alabama gets a lead. and then it's like up to Georgia. What are you gonna do? What are you're gonna make it happen? And then up to the Georgia defense to also stop Alabama when the ball gets back. So really, really good game, really fun to watch. I was glued to this one for a while. So
Yep.
yeah, go ahead and give me your thoughts.
So, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but this was kind of the one game that I really nailed. I think we talked about the defenses kind of dominating this game, and I was talking about this game is going to be decided by 3 points. It's just going to be one way or the other, and I went with Alabama. I mean, I was talking about Ty Simpson's ability to operate in this offense and how he kind of allows Kalen DeBoer to do what he's better doing in that kind of offense. And he played a really good game, 90.1 QBR, 276 yards, 2 tuds, right? And they weren't really impressive on the ground. Both running backs averaged 3 yards a carry. So you got to just tip your cap right there. Really just a quality football game. Gunner didn't really live up to the high flying expectations that he carried the week into after putting it all up against Tennessee.
Mhm.
But I mean, I'm not worried about Georgia, right? That's a quality football team up and down. I just think they caught Alabama at a tough time in the schedule, and they should have no problem getting through the rest. Who else is on their schedule this year? They have to play LSU this year. Oh
Yeah,
no, they
they
don't have to
got
play
Vandy
LSU.
next week, so
They got Georgia's got Kentucky, Auburn, Ole Miss, Florida, Mississippi State. They have to play Texas, and then they finish with Georgia Tech, which is lining up to be actually a good game. So,
mhm.
I mean, they don't have a bunch of rollover games, but I mean, they get Texas and Ole Miss at home, right? And so when you carry a streak of what was it again? I know you're talking about it. It was like how many games?
32, I think.
30.
32 or 33. I don't
When
know.
you carry a streak like that, right? I mean, you're gonna win the rest of the games in the season, like at home, just based off of math and the law of averages, right? So I mean, Ole Miss at home is kind of a great pairing because Ole Miss is probably going to come into that game a good. What they'll be probably a top 10 team, right? I mean, they're going to be a top 15 team, no doubt, and then they're going to get Texas on later in the year in November. So
Yeah, and that Ole Miss game will be interesting because Ole Miss actually beat them last year in Ole Miss, so it'll be a bit of a revenge game for Georgia. If I'm every other team on Georgia's schedule, though, I'm honestly pretty pissed at this result. I'm like, come on, like you want to be that loss. You know Georgia statistically as a team is not going to have more than two losses.
right,
So it's like now everybody's fighting to be that second loss. And like if you're Auburn and you're looking at that, you're like, damn, I wish we could have surprised them. And then if you're any other team on that schedule, you're probably like, Georgia's coming headhunting for us now. So I'm not worried about Georgia either. But yeah, the main talking point of this game is Ty Simpson. And the big stat I wanted to point out was on third down efficiency, we talked about how Auburn had 0-13. Alabama, on the other hand, 13 of 19
oof,
third down, which means Georgia's defense relatively did a really good job getting them into third
getting them to there, yeah,
situations. It was just Ty Simpson's ability to be able to convert on third down, keep drives going, wear down this Georgia defense. Time of possession, they won by 11 minutes. So they won 35-24. And that's how you beat Georgia. I mean, you chew the clock up, you make it a slow down game, you make sure that they can't beat you. Because Georgia wants to do the same thing to you. Georgia wants to slow it down. They want to run you out of the game. Then they want to let their defense kind of handle business on that end when you're forced to throw on third and long. So everything kind of went to game plan, I think, for both teams. And just in the end, Alabama executed better.
yep.
Georgia's got some things they got to clean up penalty wise. Alabama looked really disciplined in that game. Only four penalties for 16 yards. Georgia had six for 68. So,
And going back to what I was saying earlier, when you lose a game to start the year, you don't play well, you don't live up to expectations, right? You kind of get the monkey off your back, and you put together some quality weeks going into a big game like that, and you kind of shock people, even though you were really a quality team the whole time.
mm,
But I mean, like I said, you shouldn't take Georgia lightly just because they lost to this team now, and this will be one of the very few losses they'll have on the year, and they're going to build from it. And this is going to be they're going to have a few great weeks before they have to go up against Ole Miss, and Texas, and
Hmm.
I'm sure they'll put together a couple good performances up until then.
Yeah, and I think we couldn't talk about this game without talking about, the at the end, the decision for Kirby Smart when they get in field goal range to not kick a field goal to tie the game up. Um, I thought that was crazy. I mean, you're on the Alabama 11-yard line. I know it's 4th and 1, and I know you've been running I mean, they went 33 for 227 and 2 touchdowns on the ground. I get you've been running all over, but it's something you see. I mean, these two teams are as close to an NFL game as you're going to get, really, in college football. And so you see in the NFL all the time, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, teams get stopped because you coach for those situations. And Alabama did a really good job coaching for those situations because that was realistically the difference in the game, getting them off the field on that 4th down on the Alabama 11, and then also the boneheaded penalty at the end, just diving like a swan, just perfect form.
Oof, that
Hurt.
was that was dumb. But you know, 4th and 1 right there. I don't I wouldn't normally hate that decision, right? I like the aggressiveness to go ahead and take a strong lead and put all the pressure on your opponent. But at that point in the game, after coming out of halftime, it was Alabama missed field goal, turnover on downs, and a punt, right? So your defense is doing their job, right? So why don't you just take the three? They took the three, or they turned the ball over on downs with 3:20 left in the fourth quarter. So you have plenty of time to get another possession, which they did. Didn't do
Mhm.
anything with it, and yeah, it was just a little bit of a questionable decision. But like I've been saying the whole time, these are things you learn from early in the year, and they'll be fine.
Yeah, and I trust Kirby Smart. I mean, you live and die by that philosophy. If they got that 4th down and then they go on to score a touchdown, everybody's, praising him because now they go up by more than a field goal, which I think is what Kirby wanted. He wanted to be up 28-24
Put
and
all the pressure on. I agree. I mean, I
biceps
see it.
in. And so you see the strategy. Overall, this was just a high quality game and like just an enjoyment to watch, really, as a college football fan. And these two teams always are. So we're gonna see how they are the rest of the way. It's kind of fun now. The SEC feels really wide open. The fact that you've got undefeated teams as Mississippi or not Mississippi State anymore, but Ole Miss and Vanderbilt and those kind of teams, and then you've got these teams with one losses trying to climb back in. It's going to be a fun rest of the year, so I'm looking forward
Yep.
to it completely. Let's go over or did you have any more comments you wanted to put on that game?
No, I mean, I'm pretty much repeating myself at this point. So
Yeah, so
great
great
week in
game.
general.
Great pick by you. I want to give the applause there, picking the underdog. You got two underdogs this week. You got Virginia and Alabama. That was just two huge picks.
And I'm only getting better, people. I mean, I don't expect that as a good week. I need damn near perfection. So
Yeah.
tune in on Friday.
So we're gonna do. This is kind of a surprise thing. I've just decided. So, segment I talked to you about earlier, we called Sharks and Minnows. I kind of told you about it. We're not gonna do the full thing today, but we'll do one of each. And so your Sharks are gonna be your winners of the week, and your Minnows gonna be a loser. This week we'll just pick one winner, one loser, one Shark, one Minnow, and then maybe in the coming weeks, if this becomes bigger, we'll do like three each. So why don't you go ahead and I can start or you can start, but we'll pick one winner of the week and one loser of the week.
I'll start. I'll go. I'll keep it short. Because we kind of harped on all this. So my shark is probably going to be Alabama after coming out of the gates really slow and losing a game you're supposed to win by a lot is not good. And when you go into an environment like Athens and the reputation that that building holds, and then to put together an impressive win, like we just talked about, that was 4th and 1. Like 4th and 1, you should. I mean, the percentages of converting on 4th and 1 are pretty high, and then to be able to shut them down and ultimately win the game off of that is pretty impressive. So I got to put them at there as my shark. I think that's really just an impressive win and a get right spot for Alabama.
Yeah. My shark is I'm gonna go a little different route. My shark is Landry Kiffin.
Oh
Uh,
wow, okay, that's already on this. All right, all right.
yeah. Well, that doesn't have to be. It can be whatever you want. I'm just gonna go with Landry Kiffin. I think she did a great job wearing out Weeks. I saw him throwing up on the field mid-game. So and then helping Ole Miss get a win. She was celebrating with Ole Miss, not LSU. So I think she played some great mind games there, got in the head of the opposition, and played a big role in helping that team succeed. So Shark is Landry Kiffin.
I like that. I like that a lot. All right, jumping into the minnow. Let's take it this route. All right. Minnow is probably the Penn State fan base as a whole. To just like, I don't know. I feel like watching game day and the hype around the whiteout. You're like, oh, like that's like this is a cupcake game. Like we should win this. This is a whiteout. I got a buddy that paid fucking $500, drove like 4 hours to get out there, and just to drive home Sunday listening to freaking Marvin's Room and Logic, and just like now you got to live with this with Ohio State going to Columbus in a few weeks, right? So like I don't know. That's kind of tough, especially with a quarterback that's been kind of struggling and a coach that can't get over the hump. But they'll be fine. I just like to make fun
I
of them
think I think
because
they might have been booing as well for
oh yeah,
that
for
game.
the
I think they
minnows,
were
they're
booing.
minnows.
Yeah, they're for sure minnows. They've always kind of been minnows. I mean, you fight with your head coach all the time, and then that's all I really see
Yeah,
after big
right.
games. They're just arguing with James Franklin.
Like, dude, come on. You think he wants to lose? Get out of here.
My minnow is the betters of the Indiana -6.5 spread.
Oh yeah,
I know that we both took Indiana. I think we had met 7.5, so this didn't really affect us. It's still we were like it would have been a heartbreaking one regardless. But for the people that moved it down a point to go underneath a touchdown, I don't know if you saw how that game ended. I'm
oh yeah.
sure.
Mendoza talked about it in his interview. He was
Oh
like,
yeah.
"Oh, we're just money line guys." I was like, "Oh, shut the fuck up. You're a loser."
We're just money line guys. I can't wait for that team to lose.
I cannot wait. I'm actually gonna get popcorn from the movie theater for that Oregon game and just
Yep.
sit on my couch with the biggest smile on my face and
Yeah,
like just
maybe a
like
hook the line hate watch will be happening for
little
that
live stream.
little live stream hook the line hate watch. I'd be in. But yeah, Mendoza running backwards for 30 yards, and then going in his own
To
end
be
zone.
honest, it's a great play. It's really smart.
Oh, I agree.
But to then address it in the I did the reporter ask him about it? Is that why, or did he come? I don't know. Whatever. He's
Yeah, no, they didn't ask him about it. I think he was just like, I pissed off a lot of people by running into the end zone.
Yeah, yeah, you did. People bet large sums of money on you, and especially when we come on here and gas them a little bit, being Purdue Boilermaker graduates, gassing the IU quarterback in their recent play, and then to come out and do that, just stabs in the heart. So
Yeah.
screw that guy.
So those guys are the biggest losers. I'm glad that I did not have I'm glad I did not have the -6.5. I was already comfortable with my loss. I had accepted my defeat. Didn't get burned by that one. But yeah, so that's gonna be my Sharks and Minnows. We'll do this segment every once in a while, just a fun little thing, kind of funny. Either end it out or either to start it out. We'll have things like that. So again, if you guys are listening, if you have ideas down in the comments, feel free to shout it out. This is the third episode that we're doing. We're going to be back again on Friday, and Friday is going to be once again our favorite day of the week. Picks day, baby. Back with Dr.
Huge.
and Professor Picks. Let's go.
I'm expecting greatness this week. I actually already have a few of my picks locked in, as well as my deep sea dog. So you all better tune in on Friday.
Yeah,
And
real quick, why don't you give us the five or
oh
six
yeah,
games? Give us the list of games. We're not going to talk about them, but just give us the list of games that we're going to be talking about Friday.
all right. So it's kind of a weird week. We definitely got a couple marquee matchups, but a lot of we're getting into bye week season, so you're not going to see all the top 10 teams. So we're going to go big noon kickoff, Wisconsin, Michigan. Another noon game, Kentucky at Georgia.
Yep.
Vanderbilt at Alabama, which is probably going to be the game we harp on the most.
Oh yeah.
Texas goes to the Swamp at Florida, Arch versus Lagway. That should be interesting. And then probably the game of the week is Miami versus Florida State and how the Seminoles can bounce back.
I didn't even know that was this week. All right. Yeah, give me some ACC
So
action.
tune in for locks.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys again for listening. This has been a lot of fun. Once again, sorry we got this out a day late. Things just happened, but we're gonna be back on schedule from now on, Tuesday, Friday. So, once again, thank you guys for listening, everybody out there. And this is the end of episode 3.
See ya.
Peace.